Are you there?
There we go. Yes. How are
It's
you?
technology fun.
It is. We're all learning new things.
Yes, we are.
So, okay, I want to dive right in today with you, and I'll do my housekeeping at the end because I'm so excited about this system that you have implemented. And so I just want you to start out telling everybody how you're handling showings and listings and opens, all the different things you're doing.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, first, let me say why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay.
It may feel a little bit like drastic measures, but I want to explain why we're doing this. We've had a big imbalance between supply and demand, right?
Right.
And in my opinion, if we have a few buyers who pull out of the market right now, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the end of the world. But we already have 2,400 fewer houses on the market. So if we have a mass exodus from our sellers, if there's no houses to sell, we're in trouble.
Right.
So what I'm hearing from our seller clients is that their concerns are, of course, safety, and they're feeling very fearful, and they're feeling like they have lost control over their own home, their own safe space. They have no control over who's in their home, how frequently people are in their home, what they're doing, how often people are in the home. So that's the reason why we put this new showing protocol into place.
Right. Sounds completely logical and proactive.
Well, good. We are getting very great feedback, and we've had a couple of seller clients that have called and said, we're just not sure this is the time. We think we want to put a hold on it. And after we shared with them our new protocol, they said, okay, we're fine with that. Let's go ahead and proceed.
I love it. Okay,
we're
so
clear on that.
open it up.
Okay, so as far as our listings are concerned, we're starting with encouraging our buyers agents that are coming to show our properties. We're starting to encourage them to look at our video walkthroughs first. So our team is going through and doing a video walkthrough. I think Brittany talked about this earlier this week. And we are shooting that video walkthrough on my iPad and then uploading it to YouTube and sharing the YouTube channel. And so we're really using that as a first showing. And if there's something funky about the layout of the house or the neighborhood, they can do a drive-by. So we're trying to eliminate the number of live showings we have. So we're starting there as a first measure. And then from there, we've started getting very familiar with Google Hangouts. So we're doing virtual showings. So the buyer, the seller, the buyer's agent, and the listing agent are all in a Google Hangout. We start the Hangout. We send the invitations to everyone. We've directed all of our sellers to download the Google Hangouts app to their phone. And they're just simply walking through the house like this, saying, this is my kitchen, this is this, this is this.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
And the buyer has complete control, and the buyer's agent too. They'll chime in and say, well, wait, would you go backwards? Open up that pantry. Let's see how big this closet is. Or can you take a wider step back and take a whole view of the whole living room? But they have complete control over what the seller does. So that's been great. And then if they're still interested, then we are allowing the private in-person showings. We're just being very particular about it. We are directing the sellers to leave on all of the lights and open every single door, even the closets, even the door going from the house to the garage, pantry doors, toilet closets, you name it, every door, leave it open. And we are providing gloves and face masks and shoe covers, or we're asking them to take their shoes off outside. And we're even asking them to keep their hands in their pockets. Now they're going to pull their hands out, but it's just kind of a reminder of try not to touch stuff, because you don't realize how much you touch stuff until you're told not to touch stuff. So we've got that going on. We also, of course, are asking anyone who has been ill or had a fever to reschedule. And we're also asking for children to stay outside. So if that means one spouse has to walk through with the agent and leave the other spouse and the kiddo outside and then take turns, then that's what we're asking for. And another thing we're doing, if we have a really hot listing, which we did last week, we had a super hot listing and we were getting showing requests like crazy. And the seller just said, enough, I can't do this. I can't go to work during the day and then come home and imagine that I've had 100 people in my house. I don't know what they've touched. I feel like I have to spend 3 hours sterilizing my whole entire house. I can't do this. So what we did is we started doing open houses rather than showings. So for her, we only allowed a weekend 2-hour window for an open house. And we allowed one group in at a time. So that may be a buyer with us, or it may be a buyer with their agent, but we didn't allow any private showings at all at this property. And we had a sign on the front door that explained our protocol. There was a place for them to take their shoes off. We had a little thing of hand sanitizer. And then a member of our team stayed in the house the entire time and just kind of oversaw. We didn't, especially if it was an agent that was bringing a client, we didn't go room to room with them, but we had the same protocol, you know, no children, asked them to try to keep their hands in their pockets. And we had Clorox wipes at the end of the open house. We wiped everything down and it went great. We had 12 guests come through and we got a full price offer on it. And she just thought that was the best thing ever. So
Never want to sell a house the same way again.
Exactly. She's going to get spoiled, huh?
Yeah. Oh, that is amazing.
So that's what we're doing with our sellers.
Okay.
And as far as buyers, similar, we're asking if they've been ill or if they've been exposed to anyone who's been ill. Again, we're providing masks, we're providing shoe covers, we have sanitizer, we have gloves. We're doing the same thing. We're being super careful as we walk in the property. And I'm asking, if it's an occupied property, I'm asking the listing agent, would your seller be willing to open all of the doors and turn on the lights? Even though we have gloves, just number one, I think it shows better when we walk in, all the lights are on anyway. But we're practicing social distancing and trying to, it's difficult to show a property to someone staying 6 feet apart, but we're all in this together. The buyers are very sympathetic and they want safety as well. So that's what we're doing.
So let me ask you a question. Since we are under the stay-at-home order,
yes,
do you which is like a step further than going a step further than the 6 foot distancing, the social distancing. Right. So do you feel that moving forward, you'll do more of the digital showings and the digital listings?
I think so. I hope so. I don't want to buck the system and I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution and encourage everyone to stay at home.
Yeah.
But we are still having buyers that are saying, no, I want to see it face to face. And if they're adamant that they want to see it face to face.
And the seller's all right with it, right?
The seller's okay with it and we're taking precautions, then we're doing those. I think personally, I think I've shown 8 or 9 buyers this week in person, probably 20 properties. So people still want to get out and see it. We're trying to be smart about it and be careful.
Mm-hmm. Have you found that the temperature of the seller allowing this is driven by their need to get the house moved, or what is the difference between them that go, oh, I just can't take this?
Exactly. I'm seeing a lot of showings right now on properties that have been on the market for about 3 weeks. And those sellers are were not planning on this at all, right? 3 weeks ago, their listing agent was saying, hey, we're going to price it at the top of the market. You're going to get multiple offers. We're going to sell within the first weekend. And then this happens. And 3 weeks later, they're still in the market and they're panicked. Where are all these buyers at? Why isn't my house sold? So I'm finding that the sellers are a lot more agreeable right now. Some of my buyers who had given up and pulled out of the market because they needed seller concessions, and they were finding that every house that they asked for seller concessions on, there were 5 other buyers who didn't need seller concessions, and they kept losing out on bid after bid after bid. Some of those folks have come back into the market now, and all of a sudden sellers are willing to do it because we're not going into multiple offers. There's not as many people on the streets looking at houses and making offers. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for some of our folks that have been trying for 6 months in very popular areas, and they need $5,000, $6,000 in closing cost assistance. Now, finally, they've got sellers who will work with them.
Wow. Wow. See, it's so interesting, the unintended consequences of good things and the unintended consequences of bad things that happen to them. Well,
Right.
a couple things I want to touch on, if you'll allow me, Brandi, while you're on the phone, while you're on here with us, because it is very relevant. First of all, I want to encourage, I think we sent out the letter, the Keller Williams letter that you can send to the listing agent whenever, or you can send to the buyer's agent. So if you're the listing agent, we have a letter. If you haven't gotten it, then let us know that you can send to the buyer's agent about the protocol if it's going to be an in-person showing. And the protocol is very similar to Brandi's. I'm going to actually go back through here and listen again after we get off, because I may make some additions to our letter based
I
on
can
what you do.
send, I can send you ours. It's a Word document, and we've actually uploaded it to all of our listings and transaction desks, so the
Great.
buyer stations can see it. And I've changed the showings from just going through showing time to must call agent. And they're calling me, and I'm explaining we have this protocol in place. Would you please read it and then book the showing, just to make sure they're not skipping over it.
Good, good, good. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. That'll be great. Then the other thing I want to tell you, did you go back and listen to the OIR call by any chance, Brandi?
Not.
Okay, so I'm going to tell everybody who listens to this recording, when you're listening to it, it's about 20 minutes. It is about 20 minutes, but it is valuable information. And for instance, we've been talking about the no children, and we've even been making some jokes on it, about it, because God love them. We love our kiddos, but little dirty, grimy hands, and they want to touch everything. Well, guess what? That's against fair housing.
Oh.
So he does a whole piece in this 20-minute video. He does a whole piece on the different fair housing things we've really got to be careful of. And so I'm encouraging everybody that listens to this, take the time and go and listen to that to protect yourselves. So the Fair Housing Act is very important. And then especially in light of the fact that we particularly have been talking about the kiddos. So you can't do that. The other thing is that there is liability with having open houses because of the gatherings of 10 or more not being allowed. So I like the way you're handling that, Brandi. So I think that's great feedback. But they did tell us, he did say, we've got to be very careful, because if we have an open house with people in it and then a seller ends up getting sick, it's not that they will come back and blame us or sue us, but they could.
Right.
And so in times like this, we just sadly have to think about things like that.
Right.
The other thing he pointed out was to just keep in mind that we've got to use common sense, because it is not business as usual. Now, I don't think anybody in our group, as I see it, I don't think anyone is thinking this is business as usual.
No, definitely not.
He's seeing things from across the state. So apparently there are some people that maybe are sticking their heads in the sand. So just a reminder that we need to be very respectful about the order, as well as the governor's stay-at-home order. This gift of us being essential is a gift. It's a real blessing because it could have gone a whole different way. And so as an industry, I want us to be showing like 150% level of respect, right. Raising that standard really, really high, everybody, so that that the public will see that was, because we've had people say, why are they essential? Well, we can prove as to why we are essential. So we want to be doing the right thing and showing a lot of respect and protecting our consumers and ourselves, right, while we do that. The other thing that he shared was that there are 7,500 pendings in the state right now. Now, we talked on my Zoom call a little bit ago, our shift tactic mastermind Zoom call that we had just a bit ago. We did talk about the fact that the business y'all are doing now is the fruit of your labor 60, 90 days ago, right? It's things you were doing possibly even in December. So that's part of those 7,500 pendings. Gary and Kenny did give some stats. Gary's stat was set last Saturday through this morning. Our city had taken, or our market, there were 304 new listings taken, 283 pendings, and 143 closings. The closings are getting bottled up because of the lenders getting bottled up. So it's not so much and I guess some title issues too, but so understand your people are going to have to be patient, and I would tell them on the front end, right? Just
Right.
warn them. And then also the appraisers are going to get bottlenecked.
Right.
So everything's going to be pushed out. So we've got a 45-day closing. Probably we're going to start looking for a while at 60-day closing. So just make sure everybody, when you're talking to people, that you're making them aware of that. And then
Susan, if I could add on that note,
yeah.
I had a buyer who had been pre-qualified on a VA loan manufactured home, and we made the offer on Monday, and he went to lock the rate, and the lender said, oops, we just made an announcement. We're no longer doing manufactured homes.
Holy cow.
So I switched him to another lender. Well, Cityscape. I wanted him to get with Cityscape in the beginning, and I couldn't get him off of this other online company. Switched him to Cityscape, and I don't think they've made it public yet, but as of 4 p.m. today, Cityscape is no longer doing manufactured homes VA. So we got them locked in before 4 o'clock, but the buyer's having to pay like I am so sorry, like a $2,000 discount point just to be able to get the loan on a $125,000 loan.
Holy cow. How bad does he want that thing?
I know. And then not only that, but a lot of the investors for lots of mortgage companies are coming back and raising their credit score requirements. So things are getting tighter in the lending.
Wow.
So just because someone was pre-qualified last week doesn't necessarily mean they still are today. We need to be calling those lenders and verifying their approvals are still valid.
That's fantastic information. That is great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, Brandi, I am going to wrap up here with just a couple of things. Anything else you want to share about anything? Just like that. That was valuable. I'm so appreciative of you sharing that with everybody.
The only thing I would share is yesterday I had an appraiser call, and he called 2 days ago to schedule an appointment for yesterday. And normally appraisers are okay with the homeowner staying home. And so when the seller asked me, can I stay? I said, sure, he'll be in and out in about 15 minutes. Well, he called me from the car yesterday and said, there's someone inside the house. And I said, yes, it's occupied. And he said, I'm not going in a house that's occupied. And I said, oh, okay. Well, do you want me to ask her to step out on the porch? And he said, yes. And just so you know, I'll be wearing gloves and masks in the house. I said, that's okay. So just something to think about there, that the appraisers are being very cautious themselves, and had she not agreed to leave the house, he was not going inside.
Yeah, I know that's going on, because I have a son-in-law that's an appraiser, and he's adamant he will not go into a house if somebody is in there, not only for himself, but for them. I mean, we're all around a bunch of people, and who knows? So that is absolutely happening. Interesting. Okay, so Brandi Fugate, so much value that you gave to us today, and I am so appreciative of you. And I want to end the call today. It's Friday. We've gotten through week 2, believe it or not, and we're essential. And how cool is that? Did we ever realize that word would mean so much to us? We can call each other the essentials now. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to have a great weekend. I hope you get to rest and recoup and give yourself some energy, some newfound energy to start Monday with. I want you to get up every day with a plan. I want you to get up and focus on that plan, and then through the day, when you're through working, and I hope you're putting in a good work day, staying focused on your plan, then I want you to end your work day with these 2 questions. Every single day, I want you to end your day with these. What was your win? And I want you to write it down, because I want you to start seeing there's a win in every day. What was your win? And then what did you learn? Right? Okay, so every day you're going to write down at the end of the day, what was your win and what did you learn? Have a great weekend, everybody. We love you. Hang in. It's going to be okay. It's just going to be a journey, and we're going to go on that journey together. Bye-bye.